Well, Big Brother will now be taught at a school near you. Across the country, schools are finding ways to track and monitor students inside and outside the classroom. The techniques range from chips embedded in school ID cards to GPS systems installed in computers tracking students' every move to actual surveillance cameras. And it's happening in Texas. These are the IDs students are required to carry that have tracking trips built right into them, so teachers know where their students are at all times. Well, schools say the measures will help make kids safer, but is it just going too far? To discuss this, I'm joined now by RT Web producer Andrew Blake, who just covered this story extensively on our website. Hi, Andrew.
Hey, Liz.
Good to have you here.
My pleasure.
So tell us more about these microchips.
Yeah, Rfid, radio frequency identification chips, and they're used pretty regularly. I mean, I have one in my pocket right now, and if you have a New York State license. Yeah.
Well, take a look.
I mean, I don't really want to take out my driver's license and hold it in front of the camera.
All right, that's understandable.
But we do have one in there, and I use it because I was born in New York State. I used to cross into the Canadian border all the time. I have an RFID chip in mine, just so that when I cross over, they know who I am, and they can go and they can scan it, and they can instantly pull up my file. You know, think of like a QR code that you see out on the street somewhere. And same concept in schools. You want to be able to chronicle as much data as you can about someone to justify some sort of good. At least that's what they're doing it for. In the case of Texas, we have a school district there where 2 schools so far this year have forced the students to wear these badges that have the cards inside of them, and they're using it as means of tracking the students so that they can try to cut down on the rampant truancy that's happening right there. Because in a lot of school districts, if you're not having kids showing up, the states aren't going to pay for the schools. The states are going to stop funding them. And this, I believe it's Northside District in Texas, includes San Antonio, I believe. They believe that these 2 schools right there, they're losing upwards of $175,000 a day in funding because students just aren't showing up to the class and the teachers can't keep track of them. So they figured, okay, well, if we know where the students are at all times, they're going to be held accountable. We'll know if they're in the class. We'll make sure we will have as accurate numbers as we possibly can, and we'll be able to get that funding. We'll be able to know where everyone is. And it's great if you want to make sure that you're sending your child to a school where you're going to get the best education that the state's going to be able to afford. But at the same time, yes, instantly we're seeing all these privacy concerns just start mounting up. And they're being addressed in Texas, but unfortunately not necessarily in the best way. We have a case just recently where one student, she rejected this idea. She said, I'll carry a badge on me. You can have my name, you can have my photo, but I don't want to be tracked around the school because you can, from anywhere up to like 100 feet away, they can just buzz you in on a radio and they can find out like within a couple of inches where you are in the building. And it's just, it kind of just gives people the heebie-jeebies.
Understand. So students do not have a choice. This is mandated.
We're seeing that students and parents are starting to revolt slowly but surely, but so far the school district isn't really that concerned about their complaints. We have one case of a girl who said that it would violate her religious beliefs to be tracked consistently throughout the day. It would also obviously
religious beliefs.
Yes.
I mean, I understand privacy concerns and maybe constitutional concerns, but religious concerns.
The mark of the beast, to have this unknowing eye on her at all times. She said, my religion doesn't stand for it, and I don't want to have it. And the school said, okay, this is what we're going to do. You can go ahead and you can have your regular old ID badge. But we're going to start implementing this all the way through, and there are going to be repercussions. And some students are already seeing that. If they don't have their RFID chips, they're being told that they can't check out library books. They can't pay for their lunches in the cafeteria. They can't go into certain classrooms. And we had one case in Texas where someone was told that they couldn't vote for homecoming king and queen because they didn't have their card on them. So I don't want to say that it's, now they're taking away the right to vote, because this is just a high school, obviously.
Right.
But it is slippery slope,
those
obviously.
days, things like that are important, right?
Maybe to you. I don't know.
Not really.
Yeah. No, we're seeing a lot of problems here. And yes, in Texas, they think that every year, because if they can adjust this truancy problem and this lack of substantial attendance figures, they can pull in maybe like $2 million a year in state funding. But meanwhile, they got 6,000 students, and they know where they are at all times, all the time. And it's kind of freaking people out. And there's a lot of concerns, not just about like, well, I just don't want to be tracked. It kind of has, as you would imagine, like a chilling effect on how people are going to associate with one another. Like, for example, let's say I know you're a good kid in school, right? Let's say you hung out with a couple of hoodlums, though, some undesirables, right? Now, if you're hanging out in a hallway with a couple of kids who are up to no good, but you obviously are, keeping yourself, being nice and polite and stuff like that, the school's still going to know, oh, that Liz Wall, she's hanging out with those bad kids.
So she must be up to no good also.
She must be up to no good, yeah. And so people are going to pick where they hang out with. They're going to pick which extracurricular activities they participate in, because maybe some people don't want every authority figure in the school to know that they are involved in, like, let's say, like a gay and lesbian rights group like I was in high school, or like I went to the poetry circle. Maybe I didn't want a lot of people knowing I went to the poetry circle. I guess it's too late because I just said it on international television. But
I think that you should have been proud of that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. But a lot of people, though, have their concerns. They don't want everyone to know where they are, and they're worried that it's going to come back down on them, and they're going to be ridiculed. And we're already seeing they're being disqualified from participating in school-wide votes. They're being disqualified from picking up their lunches and being told that, no, you come back when you can prove who you are with a computer chip. And it has a lot of people uncomfortable.
All right, right now, so as far as I know, this is only in Texas, right?
There's a couple of cases of it happening in Texas. There are actually a few companies who market these devices for schools and other institutes all over the world. But the case that we're seeing right now is in this one school board in Texas, and it's being tried out in 2 schools, one elementary school, one high school, impacting roughly around 6,000 people. But right now, it is just a pilot program. And
right. Is this just the guinea pig? In other words, could we foresee this happening across the country and other school systems?
If this takes off, they're expecting within like a couple of years to have it advance in Texas and impact around 100,000 students in 122 different schools. And of course, like I said, it's going to be a slippery slope. If we see it working here, it's going to work somewhere else.
You got a chip in your ID card. Well, what happens next?
It's a very good question.
You're somewhere else.
There's actually, I saw someone saying online that it just prepares students for the real world, where they enter adulthood and they are constantly monitored.
It's not the real world I went to school in.
Yeah,
but
times are changing, Liz.
Times are changing. That much is true. Andrew, pleasure as always. And also check out Andrew's stories on our website, rt.com/USA.
RT.com/USA.
That was RT Web producer Andrew Blake.